Hi, I'm Richard Marks. I'm Senior Researcher for Sony Computer Entertainment, and I'm going to show you the PlayStation Move, some technology demonstrations we made for it, and how it works. This is the PlayStation Move controller. It works with the PlayStation Eye controller. It tracks the full motion of the Move controller, so it knows exactly where you're holding it in space and the angle you're holding it and how fast you're swinging it. It's very precise and accurate because it combines internal sensors with a camera sensor. This is the most literal demonstration we have for the PlayStation Move. It just shows the controller exactly rendered over the top of the controller. So there's a virtual controller rendered where the real controller is. And it shows how one-to-one the tracking can be. You don't have to render a controller. You could render something like a sword here, like in my other hand. So this controller has a sword rendered. This one has a controller. You can change it, have two swords, which is much more fun. The controller is tracking in distance, and also it's tracking in all the rotations, so you can do anything you want. It behaves exactly as if an object was really in your hand. This is just a representation of the Earth. And the reason we show this is just to show how it does track in 3D and how I can zoom into really close up and still have very fine control over what's going on, very stable behavior. When we were designing the PlayStation Move, we really cared a lot about making a controller that would work for a wide variety of experiences. We wanted to have that pick it up and be able to understand what to do right away, kind of casual experience, but we also really cared deeply about having a really core experience, a deep gameplay experience. And with that, to get that kind of thing in a spatial controller, what you really need is precision and responsiveness. You need to be able to reach in very precisely and do something in a game. We call this multi-touch. Basically, I can use these two endpoints where the controllers are to draw a window in space. I can move it around, can throw it. But we have a lot more freedom than just these two endpoints like this. We know the angle of the controllers. So if I decide to do, kind of the PlayStation Move fidelity version of this, I can switch and then I can change that simple multi-touch into this very complex ability to warp this piece of plastic in my hands. This is really gratifying feeling. It feels very powerful to do this. And I could do it with any different kind of thing. I could even do it with the video of myself here. It's a little bit surreal. And I can do that in a different virtual space where we don't see the whole image filled with video, but I can leave a little version of that video maybe up there as a reference. I can switch to have something like a web page. The PlayStation Store maybe. Here's a map of the Earth. You can think of it like a scroll you find in a game. You unroll it and lay it out on the ground. And maybe a game character. You can grab these things after you've put them somewhere and move them later. I can move that one over here, grab this one and move it over here. And so I've kind of created this virtual, almost like 3D desktop of my things. We call this camcorder mode. Where that cyan controller is, I'm going to move to where it is. So I'm over here. Now we're looking at the same point of view where that controller is. So I can move in with the controller, look around. Here's my other controller that's in my other hand. So one is now a camcorder or a virtual camera, and the other one is still something I can interact with. So I can still reach out and grab things and move them around. I can come over here, I can move all the way into this space. Here's that map that I showed on the ground. If I want to zoom in, I can figure out where I am. So there's lots of different things you could use this for. This is the kind of thing that games haven't started really using yet, but we expect to see it kind of in the next generation of games. The PlayStation Move controller actually has several different sensors inside of it. It has a 3-axis accelerometer, a 3-axis gyro, and a 3-axis magnetometer. So all these different sensors give us a lot of different information we can combine to get very precise and responsive tracking. The inspiration for PlayStation Move actually comes from a lot of the work we did with iToy. We took some of the iToy work that we'd done, we combined it with some of the things that are in the DualShock already, namely the accelerometers and the gyroscopes, and put all that into one big controller package, and that's the PlayStation Move. This is a virtual modeling demonstration, or like a pottery wheel. So imagine that's a piece of marble, and I can use my other controller here. I have one that's controlling the marble and one that's like a tool which I can reach out and carve away kind of like a virtual pottery wheel. So I've just made that. I can spin it now, control the speed by squeezing the analog T button. And I can change the shape. I could have it be something else like this, carve this away. But not only can I carve, I can change the tool as well. I can change it to a sculpting tool where I can grab something and stretch. So I can do all sorts of different kinds of tools where we have one called Explode where you can just make it ripple. And then switch back and sculpt it after that. So you can imagine a virtual landscape that would let you mod the landscape, or you can imagine different characters where you get to, or things in the game you could mod. If you start with something like a head or a character, a generic character, you can really customize it very quickly into something very different looking. It's easy to make monsters. Grab it and fix that. Cave that in. Anyways, you can imagine doing all sorts of strange things really easily. So this is just a set of demonstrations. We have many such technology demonstrations that we give to the game developers, and they turn them into actual games.